अब्दुल मनान तिलावत।
अस्सलाम अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। क़ुल अतीउल्लाह वर्रसूल फ़इन तवल्लौ फ़इन्नल्लाह ला युहिब्बुल काफ़िरीन। इन्नल्लाह अस्طफ़ा आदम व नूहन व आल इब्राहीम وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين ذرية بعضها من بعض والله سميع عليم إذ قالت امرأة عمران رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم.
उर्दू ट्रांसलेशन खालिद अहमद।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाह। अब इन आयात करीमा का तर्जुमा बयान फरमूदा हज़रत खलीफतुल मसीह राब रहमहुल्लाह पेश खिदमत है। मैं अल्लाह की पनाह मांगता हूँ धुतकारे हुए शैतान से, अल्लाह के नाम के साथ जो बेइंतहा रहम करने वाला, बिन मांगे देने वाला और बार बार रहम करने वाला है। तू कह दे अल्लाह की अताअत करो और रसूल की, बस अगर वो फिर जाएं तो यकीनन अल्लाह काफिरों को पसंद नहीं करता। यकीनन अल्लाह ने आदम और नूह और आले इब्राहीम और आले इमरान को सब जहानों के मुकाबिल पर चुन लिया। उनमें से बाज़ की ज़ुर्रियत में से हैं और अल्लाह बहुत सुनने वाला और दायमी इल्म रखने वाला है। जब इमरान की एक औरत ने कहा, ए मेरे रब, جو کچھ بھی میرے پیٹ میں ہے یقیناً میں نے تیری نظر کر دیا دنیا کے جھمیلوں سے آزاد کرتے ہوئے، بس تو مجھ سے قبول کر لے، یقیناً تو ہی بہت سننے والا اور بہت جاننے والا ہے۔
رضا محمود انگلش ٹرانسلیشن۔
The translation of the verses just recited is as follows. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the accursed. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Say, obey Allah and the Messenger. But if they turn away, then remember that Allah loves not the disbelievers. Allah did choose Adam and Noah and the family of Abraham and the family of Imran above all peoples, a race correlated with one another. And Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. Remember when the woman of Imran said, My Lord, I have vowed to thee what is in my womb to be dedicated to thy service. So do accept it of me. Verily, thou alone art all-hearing, all-knowing.
مطرف احمد نظم۔
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ۔ پاکیزہ منظوم کلام حضرت مصلح ماؤد رضی اللہ تعالیٰ عنہ۔ نونہالان جماعت مجھے کچھ کہنا ہے، پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو، پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو۔ چاہتا ہوں کہ کروں چند نصائح تم کو، چاہتا ہوں کہ کروں چند نصائح تم کو، تاکہ پھر بعد میں مجھ پر کوئی الزام نہ ہو، تاکہ پھر بعد میں مجھ پر کوئی الزام نہ ہو۔ جب گزر جائیں گے ہم تم پہ پڑے گا سب بار، جب گزر جائیں گے ہم تم پہ پڑے سستیاں ترک کرو طالب آرام نہ ہوں، سستیاں ترک کرو طالب آرام نہ ہوں، خدمت دین کو ایک فضل الہی جانو، اس کے بدلے میں کبھی طالب انعام نہ ہوں، اس کے بدلے میں کبھی طالب انعام نہ ہوں، دل میں ہو سوز تو آنکھوں سے رواں ہوں آنسو، دل میں ہو سوز تو آنکھوں سے رواں ہوں آنسو، تم میں اسلام کا ہو مغز فقط نام نہ ہو، تم میں اسلام کا ہو مغز فقط نام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت مجھے کچھ کہنا ہے، پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو، پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو۔
احسان محمود ٹرانسلیشن۔
English translation of the couplets recited before you. O young men of the Jamaat, I have something to tell you, but the condition is that my message should not go to waste. I would like to impart some advices to you, so that there is no blame on me later on. When we pass away, the entire burden will be on your shoulder, so avoid laziness and don't long for comfort always. Service to religion is a grace of Allah. Never ask for any reward in exchange. There should be feelings in the heart and tears in the eyes. There should be an essence of Islam rather than its name only within you. Jazakallah.
اجتماع رپورٹ مسرور احمد صاحب۔
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear Sazur, by the grace of Allah, we are coming to the close of this year's annual Waqfe Nau Ijtema. The Ijtema was aimed at all Waqfe Nau boys above the age of 7. Our records indicate that we have a total of 2,037 boys in this age group. Hazur, we try and make beneficial changes to the Ijtema each year. Last year we introduced the electronic exam. This year we changed the team that runs the Ijtema. We identified a number of Waqfe Nau and gave them the full responsibility for this Ijtema. This team was led by Shahid Mahmood Saab, Chairman, and Naim Ahmed Bhatti Saab, Secretary Ijtema. They formed a full team just using Waqfe Nau to plan and deliver this year's event. To promote attendance at this Ijtema, we initially in December wrote to each Waqfe Nau household a letter informing them of the Ijtema and also enclosed the printed booklet of your khutbah, the essence of Waqfe Nau. We further wrote each child a reminder letter informing him of this event. We handed out leaflets at various locations after Jummah prayers, and we initiated a text message campaign to act as a reminder. We sent a further correspondence to all children above the age of 18, reminding them of the Ijtema and their need to attend. We wrote to each Sadr and then followed and also called each local secretary of Waqfe Nau to try and ensure maximum attendance. We also wrote to the parents and invited them to the afternoon session for the Ijtema to take part in proceedings and to be present for the final session. By the grace of Allah, the registered attendance is a total of 1,406 Waqfe Nau boys, which is 69% of our tajneed. This compares to a registered Waqfe Nau boys tajneed of 1,221 for the 2016 Ijtema, an increase of 185 boys. In terms of the over 15 and elder Waqfe Nau, 590 out of 1,086 have attended, i.e. 54% of them. We also have a further 466 Waqfe Nau parents and guests attend, giving a total attendance of 1,872 people who have registered for this event. Hazur registration and breakfast opened at 8:15 in the morning, and our opening session started at 9:30 and was chaired by myself. For the opening address, we played your khutbah in Urdu and stressed the fact that each Waqfe Nau should listen to your khutbahs regularly and repeatedly. Due to the ever-increasing numbers of Waqfe Nau, we split the boys into 3 age groups, 7 to 11, 12 to 18, and 18 plus. The 18 plus age group started the day with their National Waqfe Nau exam. This year, we also introduced a survey on namaz. I'll collate the results and present them to you for your guidance and for next steps. This exam was followed by an interactive question and answer session hosted by Hafiz Zafrullah Saab. This session had at its core the 100 animated videos of question and answers by Khalifa Rabi. The boys then moved on to the Careers Forum. This year, we invited a number of Jamaat departments and auxiliaries to meet the boys, explain what they do in their roles, and try to encourage the boys to volunteer with them. The aim is to help the boys choose the right careers and develop the needed skills that will benefit the Jamaat in the future. The Jamaat departments that assisted us were the Wasiyat Department, Finance, Humanity First, MKA Research, Sultanul Qalam, the Medical Association, Jamia, Amur-e Khaja, MTA, AMSA, Amur-e Amma, Voice of Islam, Amur-e Talaba, the Review of Religions, MKA Santo Tijarat, the Sire Department, Al-Sharikatul Islamiyah, AIMS, and the ever-popular Horse Riding Club. This was followed by Zohar Namaz and lunch. After lunch, the eldest age group were joined by the Waqfe Nau fathers for a series of presentations. There was a presentation on marriage led by Maulana Ayaz Mahmood Saab and Nisar Orchard Saab, followed by a forum chaired by Luqman Kishore Saab. He also gave the group a short address. The first event of the day for the younger two age groups was a presentation on Jamia by Atfal Fateh Saab. The Jamia presentation focused on life at Jamia, what Jamia is about, how do the boys spend their day and what happens there. It was a thoroughly informative and detailed presentation. Hazur, we are finding that more and more boys are expressing an interest in Jamia, so we hope a session on the process and requirements will prove useful in the coming years. Following on from the Jamia presentation, the youngest age group was given a session on social media by Adil Shah Saab, and then a very interesting talk on Our Universe by Mansoor Clark Saab. This was followed by a series of shorter presentations on the negative impacts of video games by Naman Hadi Saab, alternative solutions to gaming by Abdul Qadir Saab, and a talk and presentation by Mir Masroor Sahib. Following lunch, they had their exam. Again, for the younger children, we held an oral exam on a one-to-one basis with a student from Jamia. These children also benefited from the 100 question and answer video sessions, but this time hosted by Raza Ahmad Saab. Hazur, throughout the day, we've also had brief talks by Fahim Anwar Saab, National Secretary Waqfe Jadid, Fareed Ahmad Sahib, National Secretary Amur-e Kharja, Mansoor Clark Sahib, representing the Voice of Islam, and other speakers. I'd like to take this opportunity to convey the thanks of the Waqfe Nau Department to Amir Saab and my colleagues in the UK Majlis-e-Amla for their help in the organisation of this Ijtema. We were greatly assisted by the General Secretary's Department, Mirza Rashid Saab and Hassan Saab and their Ziyafat teams, Safdar Ali Saab and his Sami Basri team, Zahir Saab along with the management team of Bat al-Futur, Nisar Orchard Saab and his Tarbiyat team, Maqbool Saab and the IT team, Mubashir Mirza Saib and the AIMS team, and other national secretaries. I would also like to thank Raja Burhan Saab. Every year he organises the tests that determine which child will recite the Tilawat, Nazm and translations at both the opening and closing sessions. Hazur, we also owe a deep debt of gratitude to Sadr Majlis Khuddam Ahmadiyya for the support provided. Majlis Khuddam Ahmadiyya assisted us with the setup and were working alongside us throughout the Ijtema. We also owe a special thanks to Principal Jamia for his continuing invaluable support for the department. He again provided the team that takes and marks the exams, as well as providing support in every area of running this Ijtema. But most of all, Huzur, we'd like to convey our most sincere thanks to Huzur for your continued prayers for Waqfe Nau. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today you are all gathered here for the National Waqfe Nau Ijtema, and some of you may wonder why we hold these events each year. The reason is to remind all of you, the members of Waqfe Nau, about the importance of your responsibilities and to train and guide you about how to discharge these duties. First of all, you should always remember that to merely have your name in the list of Waqfe Nau has no value on its own. It is only through your conduct that you can attain the true blessings associated with being a part of this scheme. At all times, you must strive to fulfill your pledge as members of Waqfe Nau, and this requires that you raise your moral, spiritual, and educational standards and set the very best example for others to follow. At all times, every Ahmadi man, woman, and child is expected to act upon the teachings of Islam. And so, if members of Waqfe Nau are only following the basic standards, they cannot claim any distinction. Hence, never forget that you are the people who have pledged your lives for the sake of your faith. And so, you must strive to instill the highest standards of Islamic teachings and values within yourselves. Foremost amongst these, as I often say, is to fulfill the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His worship. And so you must try to constantly improve your standards of worship and try to develop a true and everlasting connection with Allah. If you are sincere in your prayers, you will come to enjoy your worship and will not find it difficult. And this is the standard a Waqfe Nau should strive to attain. If you are successful in this, you will not only develop a personal bond with your Creator, but you will also inspire others to follow in your footsteps. Of course, the most important and chief form of worship are the 5 obligatory prayers that must be offered each day. Thus, you should be extremely careful that you do not miss any namaz. Furthermore, you should offer your prayers in congregation whenever possible, and outside of school or college times, attend your local mosque or salat centers as much as possible. We all identify ourselves as Ahmadi Muslims, and we are proud of the fact that we have accepted the Imam of the age, the promised Messiah and Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, who was sent according to the prophecy of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet, this pride and satisfaction in your faith will only be deemed praiseworthy and will only be accepted by Allah if we actually act upon the true teachings of our religion. Just to utter a few words articulating our faith is not enough on its own. As I said, first and foremost amongst your duties to Allah is to be regular in the 5 daily prayers. Regrettably, students often use their school or university studies as an excuse to delay their prayers, or even to not offer them at all. What they fail to realize is that namaz is a shield that saves a person from other mistakes. And so, by failing to fulfill the rites of worship, they are leading themselves towards other vices and sins and away from Islam. Thus, you must guard against any form of laziness or weakness in this respect. Apart from offering namaz, the Prophet Muhammad has also guided us on the other ways in which we can fulfill the rites of the worship of Allah. For example, on one occasion, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ stating that he was prone to many mistakes and weaknesses, and he sought guidance about how to overcome his shortcomings. In response, the Prophet ﷺ advised him that namaz and istighfar were the best remedies to overcome such weaknesses. Every person knows his own deficiencies better than anyone else. And so pay great attention to the guidance of Prophet Muhammad, that the best medicine to overcome negligence in our faith is to be regular in obligatory prayers and seeking repentance from Allah for our sins. As you live here in the West and have grown up in a materialistic society, the need and importance of istighfar is even more pressing, as it is an outstanding means of protecting a person from the evil and immorality prevalent in society. As I have said, Waqfe Nau should be an example for others. And so you must offer istighfar as much as possible, so that your spiritual and moral standards continually elevate and improve. Furthermore, the Prophet ﷺ taught that a person should pray to Allah with the words, "O Allah, create a great distance between me and my sins," meaning that a person be saved from all wrongdoing and sin. The Prophet Muhammad said that if a person sincerely and regularly offered this prayer, it would surely be accepted over time. Thus, as members of Waqfe Nau, you should offer this prayer repeatedly so that you can be guided to the right path and fulfill your pledge. The Prophet ﷺ also taught that struggling against one's inner self which incites a person towards wrongdoing is also a form of worship. For example, if a person is sleeping at night, wakes up for Fajr and goes to the mosque, despite being extremely tired, he will be the recipient of Allah's favor. On the one hand, he will be rewarded for offering his prayer at the correct time and in congregation, whilst at the same time he will also be rewarded for fighting back against his inner self and laziness and prioritizing his faith. Another great responsibility placed upon you is to defend Islam and to respond to the false allegations and unfounded accusations that are being leveled against it on a daily basis. Remember, you are the people whose parents devoted your lives for the sake of your faith before your birth, with the hope and desire that their unborn child would serve Islam and serve the mission of the Prophet Messiah ﷺ. Having reached an age of maturity and understanding, you have yourselves renewed that pledge and have willingly chosen to remain part of the Waqfe Nau scheme. Consequently, you bear vast responsibilities to your faith, and great trust have been placed in you. In today's world, people are attacking Islam from all directions. And so, as Waqfe Nau, we should be on the front lines defending your religion. However, this is not the era of the jihad of the sword. Rather, we are living in an age where people are attacking Islam through literature, through the media, through the internet, and through other similar means. And so it is your duty to counter the allegations made against Islam in a like manner. For example, some atheists have taken the teachings of Islam completely out of context to serve their own needs. And so you must have knowledge of your faith so that you can respond to their false claims. Similarly, people of other beliefs or some politicians and journalists have raised objections against Islam and have deemed it to be a religion of extremism. In this respect, the tragic reality is that, to some extent, their complaints and fears can be understood and are justified. I do not mean, God forbid, that there is any truth to their assertion against Islam, but there is no denying that the general state of the Muslim world has become desperate and pitiful. Most Muslims have forgotten the teachings of their religion, and proof of this is the fact that many of today's wars and conflicts center upon the Muslim world. So-called Muslims are partaking in activities that a person with even a grain of humanity could never comprehend. Terrorists and extremist groups are perpetrating the most horrific and abhorrent brutalities, whilst their heinous acts betray Islam in every respect. They continue to indulge in merciless killings, rapes, pillaging, and other unspeakable acts. Their evil knows no bounds, and it is an immense tragedy and cause of deep sorrow that they continue to perpetrate such evil acts in the name of Islam. Despite the fact that Islam is the religion which has placed the greatest value on the sanctity of human life, where on the one hand the extremists are targeting defenseless and innocent non-Muslims, they are also shedding the blood of their fellow Muslims. Undoubtedly, such people are hell-bound because the Quran categorically states that if a Muslim kills a fellow Muslim, then he or she is destined for hell. Similarly, Allah the Almighty has proclaimed that to kill one innocent person is akin to killing all of humankind. In every way imaginable, Muslims are defaming the pure name of Islam, and so, as Waqfe Nau, you must understand the weight of responsibility upon your shoulders. Remember, it has been left to the Jamaat of the Prophet Messiah Islam to defend Islam, and as members of Waqfe Nau, you must be at the forefront of this effort. It is the task of every Ahmadi Muslim, but particularly those who have dedicated their lives to serve their faith, to stand up and prove to the world that Islam is a religion of peace which bears no reflection to the unjust portrayal that we see every day in the media. It is up to you to remove people's fears and misconceptions and to explain to them the perfect teachings of the Holy Quran and the noble character of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This jihad of spreading the true teachings of Islam will not be easy, and so you will have to work extremely hard and be ready to make many sacrifices. Rather than defend Islam, the so-called scholars and ulama of the Muslim world have repeatedly defamed it. They have long issued some such ludicrous and ill-conceived fatwas, or given completely nonsensical interpretations that have opened the door for non-Muslims to mock and ridicule Islam. With the grace of Allah, the Almighty, many Arab people have come to accept Ahmadiyya. But when they narrate the horrific examples of powerful Muslim clerics in their nations, a person is left shocked and speechless. Instead of wielding their influence with wisdom and truth, such clerics abuse their authority and the trust people have in them in the worst possible ways. For example, if a person becomes victim to a mental illness or some form of hysteria, then rather than treat them with compassion or some other treatment, they declare that the jinn has overtaken the person and it must be forced out of them through merciless beating or other inhumane methods. Another belief very much prevalent at the time of the Prophet Messiah al-Islam, and which even continues to this day in some remote areas, is that it is entirely permissible to loot or seize the wealth or property of non-Muslims. This also extends to the belief that it is permissible to kidnap the wife of a disbeliever or to forcibly take a non-Muslim woman to your home without any nikah, illustrating the level of ignorance amongst some Muslims. Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad once narrated a personal incident of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal that occurred during a visit to Indian city of Amritsar. Upon reaching Amritsar, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal gave 4 ane, that was the coin, which would be the equivalent of 25 pence today, to a Muslim and asked him to go and buy some mithai sweet. When he came back, the Muslim had acquired the mithai but still had the money as well. Thus, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal radhiyallahu anhu inquired from him why he still had the money in his hand. In response, the Muslim replied that it was part of the spoils of war. What a nonsense. He then explained that after purchasing the sweets, he had distracted the shopkeeper by asking him to get something from the other side of the shop. And whilst he was diverted, he took back the money from the counter. Hearing this, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal radhiyallahu anhu was very upset and said that it was stealing. In reply, the Muslim very casually said that it did not count as theft because the shopkeeper was a Hindu, and to take the possessions and wealth of a non-Muslim was entirely permissible. Such things are the height of ignorance and a complete violation of Islam's teachings. Furthermore, some so-called scholars even claim that an aggressive and violent jihad in pursuit of conquering lands and people is justified. Indeed, it is on such authority that many extremist groups seek to justify the terrorist acts, beheading, and other brutal acts that they perpetrate. If such hate-filled and unjust beliefs were part of Islam's teachings, who in their right mind would ever accept it? Yet, as I said, these are not just stories from the past, but some Muslims are engaged in such brutalities and cruelties today. Thus, these are some examples of the ignorant attitudes and beliefs that have spread amongst the Muslim world. Who could ever accept such unjust teachings? Who could accept this distorted form of Islam? Surely, no decent person ever would. However, we Ahmadis know the truth. And we know that Islam portrayed by extremists or the so-called ulama has no link to its true values. The reality is that, and always will be, that Islam comprises those magnificent and noble teachings that were practiced by the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Khulafai Rashidin, and the companions of the Holy Prophet of Islam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Even following that early period of Islam, many Muslims continued to practice and propagate the original teachings. But as time progressed, vices and bad practices began to develop amongst the Muslim community. Such wrong acts continued to spread until the majority had forgotten the true teachings of Islam, and it was at that time that Allah the Almighty sent the Prophet Messiah al-Islam for the revival of Islam. Having been guided by him, Ahmadi Muslims are extremely fortunate to have been shown the true teachings of Islam. But it is not enough for you to merely verbally accept the Prophet Messiah al-Islam. Rather, your conduct, especially as members of Waqfe Nau, must be exemplary at all times. It is your duty to spend your lives in the service of Islam by spreading its true teachings and making people aware that Islam is not what is commonly portrayed in the media. It is not a religion that gives license to kill or maim. It is not a religion that permits any form of compulsion in matters of faith or belief. It is not a religion in which women can be violated, raped, or kidnapped. It is not a religion of terrorism and extremism. It is not a religion of hate and vengeance. It is not a religion that permits deception or falsehood in any form. It is not a religion of immorality or vice. Rather, Islam is a religion that promotes peace and tolerance at all levels of society. It is a religion that teaches freedom of belief and seeks to build bridges between the people of different races, nationalities, and beliefs. This is the message that you must forever convey through your words and deeds to the rest of the world. So currently, there are, mashallah, around 1,086 Waqfe Nau boys above the age of 15 here in the UK. And if each of you understand and assume your duties to your faith, great things can be achieved. If you fulfill the demands of your pledge, you can be the generation who starts bringing about a spiritual revolution in this society. In this day and age, it is only our Jamaat who can protect Islam and propagate its true teachings. Unquestionably, this is the duty of all Ahmadis, but the biggest responsibility lies with those people like you who have devoted their lives for the sake of their religion. To do this, it is essential that you understand your faith and have knowledge of its teachings. Thus, you must study the Holy Quran every day so that you can identify the commands of Allah, the Almighty, and act upon them. Similarly, you should read the books of the Prophet Messiah Islam that have been translated in English. And those of you who can read Urdu should read the other books as well. You should also try to connect yourself with MTA and see at least 1 hour a day any of the MTA program. And especially never forget to listen to my Friday's khutbah. In this way, you can connect yourself with Khilafat Ahmadiyya. The knowledge you will gain from reading the Quran and books of the Prophet Messiah Islam or other means will provide you with the intellectual tools and spiritual ammunition to respond and refute the allegations of those who speak against Islam. Moving on, I shall now present some special instructions given by the Prophet Messiah Islam to his followers, which should be followed by all Ahmadis, but particularly those who have devoted their lives to the service of Islam. The Prophet Messiah Islam has said that a person's morals and habits should always be in accordance with the commands of Allah, to such an extent that other people attest to their good character and to the fact that they are practical examples of the teachings of Islam. He continued by saying that if an Ahmadi does not act in this way, he or she would be guilty of setting a bad example for others, which could weaken their faith, and thus such Ahmadis would be culpable of defaming Islam, just as others have done. The Prophet Messiah Islam said that only those who, according to the condition of their birth, gave precedence to their faith over all worldly matters could be deemed as true members of his Jamaat. Most of you are now mature in age and understanding, and so you should seriously reflect upon whether you are fulfilling the conditions of your birth. Moreover, the Prophet Messiah Islam said that his followers should avoid taking part in immoral, worldly, or vain discussions and practices. In this era, this includes watching immoral and inappropriate television programs or films, and also include wasting time chatting on social media or different chat groups. Such practices are harmful and lead to the spread of immorality and other vices. And so, if you engage in these bad habits, you will not be able to fulfill the pledge you have made as Waqfe Nau. The Prophet Messiah Islam also repeatedly emphasized the importance of fulfilling the rights of others. Thus, our Waqfe Nau should be selfless in nature and never selfish. You should consider how you can help others and fulfill their rights rather than worrying about your own needs or entitlements. Further, a Waqfe Nau should never be cause of pain for others. Instead, they should always be kind, compassionate, and caring. Hence, wherever and whenever you can help or assist other people, you should never waste the opportunity. Similarly, the Prophet Messiah Islam taught his followers to offer sincere repentance by seeking Allah's forgiveness for their shortcomings, and to keep in mind that Allah is watching their every move. You may be able to hide your acts from other people, but not from Allah. And so, never partake in any activity that is opposed to Islam's teachings. The Prophet Messiah Islam also said that if his followers did not bring about practical changes within themselves and were not constantly seeking to progress spiritually and morally, there was no benefit to taking bath and entering his fold. In fact, he said that the attitude of those people who did not seek to improve illustrated that they did not believe there was any need for them to accept the Prophet Messiah Islam. This is something for all Ahmadis to consider and reflect upon, and especially for the members of Waqfe Nau. Many of you are now married, or quite a number of you are now married or reaching the age of marriage. And so I wish to remind you that you should marry Ahmadi girls and try to fulfill your responsibilities to your wife and family to the best of your abilities. You should strive to ensure that you remain happily married, and you will need to pray for this as well. Within your homes, you should display the very best morals and treat your family with love, kindness, and respect. Furthermore, as a Waqfe Nau, it is imperative that you maintain a close link with the Jamaat and that you give as much time as possible to serving it. Those of you who have not yet been called up full time to serve the Jamaat should nonetheless make sure that you continue to set aside regular time for Jamaat duties. It is not possible for you to give time each day. If it is not possible, then the bare minimum you should set aside one day a week to serve the Jamaat. There may be some Waqfe Nau boys who are neither studying nor working. And so, whilst they search for work in their chosen field, they should not sit idly at home. Rather, they should inform the Waqfe Nau administration of their situation and serve the Jamaat until they find suitable work. To remain at home wasting time is completely wrong and harmful, and so utilize any free time you have productively for the service of the Jamaat. Similarly, if you are working in a company or elsewhere, you should never forget your duties to your faith, and so try to set the best possible practical example for others to see and learn from. In this way, you will be doing tabligh through your conduct and spreading the message of Islam, even before you come to fulfill your work on a full-time basis. At the end, I also wish to remind the younger members of Waqfe Nau, who are still members of Atfal Ahmadiyya, of their responsibilities. All of you should pay full attention to your studies at school. Similarly, you should not waste your time playing computer games or other electronic games. Rather, when you have some free time, go outside and play games or sports and take benefit from the fresh air. This will benefit your health and well-being in the long term. Additionally, you should be well behaved and listen to your parents. Above all, you must instill the habit of offering your 5 daily prayers and tell the truth in all matters. Every day you should try to improve yourself, and apart from your school studies, you should also try to increase your religious knowledge. May Allah enable all of you to understand and act upon what I have said. And may all of you come to fulfill the demand of your waqf in the best possible manner. I forgot to mention today Jamaat Ahmadiyya the Gambia is also holding their Waqfe Nau Ijtema, and so they are also the part of our Ijtema today through MTA. Allah Ta'ala bless you all. Now join me in silent prayer. Ameen.